This episode is proudly supported by Westholme Australian Wagyu. Whether you're a chef or just love going to restaurants, you know the best ingredients are everything, especially when it comes to beef. Westholme, based in Queensland and the Northern Territory, Australia, is working with the land to create nature-led Australian Wagyu. They steward 16 million acres of rangeland, guided by the natural ecosystem where cattle graze and forage on native grasses for the first few years of their lives. The result is high-quality Wagyu beef that reflects the terroir of Northern Australia. Westholme believe that when nature leads, flavour follows. Learn more at westholme.com.
It really reminded me that I do love cooking because you get to cook for people you love, and I love doing that.
Welcome back to another episode of Dirty Linen. It is Dani Valent with you again, and I am super excited for today's conversation. I love chatting to new people on the podcast, but I do have a special fondness for returning guests. It is so nice to follow the thread of somebody's time in the food world and see where the journey is taking them. It was December 2022 when we chatted to Bubble Booker Malcolm. At the time, Bubble was in Year 11 at Fitzroy High School, and she had just started working a couple of nights and Saturdays at Rumi restaurant in Brunswick. I was so excited to see an Instagram post that showed Bubble returning to her old school, having graduated and taken the next step in her cooking career. Bubble, welcome back to Dirty Linen.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be back.
So good to have you back. Bubble, catch us up. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, a lot's happened. I was about 6 months into Rumi when I talked to you last, and now I've been here for 2 years, which is just crazy to me. I've recently gone full-time. The start of this year I went full-time. So I graduated, I left school, and I just decided that I wanted to keep working in hospitality and keep working at Rumi. So I jumped right in. And it's been great. I've been learning lots of new things and getting adjusted to working full-time, which is quite crazy. Still figuring out that work-life balance, you know.
I think we all are.
Yeah, right. But it's been great, yeah.
And I mean, tell us, remind people who haven't listened to that earlier episode or who might need a bit of a catch up. Like, how did you start working at Rumi? What did you think about it at the time? You know, was it just for a bit of cash? Was it because you were really interested? Just give us the backstory.
Yeah, so my food studies teacher, I took food studies in Year 11, but I took the Year 12 class, so I was doing an early VC. My food studies teacher, James Hardy, shout out to him, he's fantastic, I love him very much. He asked me, we were talking about jobs and stuff, and he was like, oh, would you be all right working evenings? I was like, yeah, absolutely. He was like, and he said that, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? And a week or so later, he gave me Joseph's number, which was very exciting, but also I was very nervous. I called up Joseph and I went, oh yeah, we had a chat, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to work, do some part-time work, in the kitchen. And I came in, I had my trial shift, and I've been there ever since. It's just like, I remember the trial shift, I was so nervous for it, because it was really high stakes for me, because James had recommended me and I wanted to do well, and it was my first time being in a proper commercial kitchen as well. And then I went working to kind of 3 days a week for the rest of my high school time, and then I graduated high school, and now I'm full-time.
And while you were still at school, did you sort of have your eye on working full-time at Rumi? Was it, did it sort of help you get through school, or, did you thrive at school anyway?
Yeah, it absolutely helped me get through school. I didn't have a super hard time at school. It was okay, but I wasn't particularly interested in it towards the end, because I knew I was like, well, I know that I want to go full-time at Rumi and that I want to continue in hospitality. And so I was weighing up the idea of doing an apprenticeship, and I was talking to a few people about it and what they thought about it. But ultimately I decided at the moment I'm not like enrolled in an apprenticeship with a, with all the documents and stuff. I'm just kind of working and learning as much as I can at the moment, which is not to say I won't do an apprenticeship. It's just right now I really didn't feel like doing more school stuff, just kind of wanted to escape from school. Yeah.
What is it, Bubble, about working with food or working in kitchens or working at Rumi particularly that made you want to make that leap into full-time chef life?
It's always something I've been really interested in, like for years and years throughout like primary school and high school. Every Sunday I'd bake at home, much to my family's delight. And yeah, it's just always something I've really loved. And then I started working at Rumi and I was like, this is definitely something I love. Even though, at times it can be pretty stressful, but you get that like rush of adrenaline and like accomplishment when you do like a really busy night with heaps of covers. And then afterwards you're like, yeah, I just did that. Like, yeah. And also just the community of working with other people that love food as much as you do, and getting to work with people that have so much experience and knowledge. It's like I love just actually watching people work. I remember when I first started, I used to just watch our grill chef. I just stand there when I wasn't doing anything and watch him work, and it was fascinating to me to see people with skills that I really wanted to have and was hoping to learn. Yes, and yeah, I just love the community. And the friendships that I've gotten out of Rumi, it's really valuable, yeah.
You must have must have skilled up so much over these past few years. Like, what are some skills that you're really proud of?
I'd like to think I have. I think kind of stress management is a big one for me. Like, when it's really busy during service, not freaking out. I had a couple services when I first started. And like it got really busy and I kind of just broke down because it was like pressure that I'd never really experienced before, like right in the moment. It's like this needs to happen right now. And, people would be like, oh, what can I help you with? What can I help you with? And I'd be like, I don't know. Like I couldn't tell people how to help me because I was so overwhelmed. But I feel like I've gotten better at that. I'm still working on it, still getting there, but definitely I'm able to kind of just take a moment in those busy parts and go, okay, I need to calm down. And one of our chefs, James, told me when I was like getting really flustered during service once, he said, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I often repeat that to myself because it helps me just remember that I can slow down a tiny bit and it'll ensure that I'll make less mistakes and, won't have to spend time rectifying those mistakes and everything will actually go smoother. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that is really powerful for the kitchen, sure, but for life, great. Like, well, do you feel like you're learning skills in the kitchen that will help you outside of the kitchen as well?
Yeah, I think so. In my kind of hobby of cooking, absolutely, but also, because it's my first kind of proper job, I'm also learning how to interact with people in the workplace and, advocate for myself and all that kind of stuff, which is super important for any job and any place you are with other people where you have to navigate things, Yeah, for sure.
A lot of parents are a bit wary when their kids tell them that they want to work in hospitality. It doesn't have the best reputation in broader society for the way it treats people. What's the culture like at Rumi?
I think it's fantastic. As far as I haven't worked in any other restaurants, right? But I've heard from other people who work with us who have worked in other restaurants. We're very open. All of us talk about what's happening in our lives and personal lives specifically. And there's a really good support network between everyone who works there, and we're always checking in on each other. It's really fantastic, I think, which is such an important part of a healthy workplace, making sure that people you work with and your employees are, doing okay outside of work so they can do their best at work, And
Bubble, do you have any favourite dishes or tasks that you're given during your work?
Right now, I'm doing pretty much all of the dessert prep to my glee, because that was my goal. I remember when I first started, I was like, desserts are what I'm really interested in. And then pretty much as soon as I went full time, I was taught desserts, which was fantastic because that's really what I want to do. At the moment I'm making the knafes, which are selling really well. We introduced them at the start of this year, kind of around we introduced them when the new place opened, really. I've been making those, which is fantastic, and it was a new dish to me that I'd never heard of, and I've definitely grown to love it. I remember when I first started making it, I had to mix it for ages, the cheese mix, so it wouldn't burn, and my arms would ache. And now it's like, it doesn't even matter; it doesn't hurt at all. And also our ice cream for the baklava sandwich, which we are, still kind of tweaking and playing around with. That's a recipe that Philippa Sibley came in and taught us, which is really awesome. So I get to make that, which is such a huge privilege. Also, just now I have the knowledge of it's basically a semi-Fredo, right? So it's like cream and egg mixture and a caramel all mixed together, and then we put toasted macadamias on top and freeze that. And then it gets cut into squares and goes in between the layers of pastry for the baklava ice cream sandwich. And so it's been a pleasure being able to learn how to make a semi-Fredo, basically, and I'm sure I'll be able to apply it in different flavors and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so good. And, you touched on the fact that Rumi has moved premises since you started. Can you talk about that? How have you found moving down the road and working in a completely new kitchen?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember last time I was on here, Joseph said to me, don't say anything about us moving, because the news had just come out for us. We were just told, he's like, don't say anything about moving. I'm pretty sure Dani knows, but just, keep it under wraps. But now it's for all to know. Yeah, it's been amazing. We opened December last year. It's been almost 8 months now, which is just crazy to think about. I do miss the old place and its charm, but the new kitchen's just amazing. It's so big, especially as far as hospitality kitchens go. We're very privileged to have this big of a kitchen and lots of amazing equipment. We've got a blast chiller, which is just awesome. And it's, sometimes on busy prep days, we still run out of space for prep benches, which is just crazy. But I can't imagine doing some of the stuff we do here at the old place. Just there would not have been enough room. So that's a great privilege. And also just the events we've been able to host too. Like we had the International Women's Day talk in March, which was great in our event space. Yeah, just all the fantastic things we can do it's really amazing. And it's a lovely location too in East Brunswick Village. It's really nice.
Oh, brilliant. And so what did Joseph tell you couldn't talk about today?
Oh, actually, I meant to talk to him last night, but I completely forgot. So nothing. I guess I've got free rein. Say whatever I want.
We'll make the most of it. Bubble, as I mentioned at the start, I was so excited to see that you'd gone back to your old school. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was amazing to go back to my old school. So I finished my last 2 years of schooling in VCE at Warran Senior Campus, which is the kind of it's the VCE school of Fitzroy and Collingwood. If you don't know about that, it's probably all sounds very confusing. I have to explain it to people quite often. They don't get it. But so I did it year 11 and 12 at Warran, but it was really lovely to actually go back to Fitzroy High School, to go back to my roots where I first started high school, and back into the food tech room where James used to teach me, and he really challenged me and he pushed me, and it was just it's my favorite place in that school. It was really a room of joy, and going back there was it was a little bit nostalgic, and it was also very odd to be on the other side of the teaching bench, because usually I'm on the standing watching side, but I was teaching the year 9s how to roll cigars and all that stuff. It was amazing. It was a huge privilege. I really enjoyed it. Got to see a whole lot of my old teachers. I went and I sat in the staff room and ate some lunch. I felt very cool. It was really lovely.
Do you reckon, did you see, were the kids really engaged? Could you see, some future chefs sort of sparks in their eyes?
They were really engaged. They were very very well behaved. No, a couple of them even came into Rumi a couple nights later. I was in the middle of service and Joseph goes, "Remember this guy?" It was pretty cool. He came in to see us. There were definitely some students that was like, maybe that's a younger bubble there. I don't know.
I love that. So what's next? How do you see things progressing?
Yeah, just building my skills, really. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like some structured learning, like do a course or an apprenticeship. I'm kind of just, figuring it out at the moment. But I'm definitely going to continue on my dessert pastry journey and learning more skills in savoury cooking as well, because I need to build that. But I'm interested in really any sort of desserts, pastry opportunities. So if there's anyone listening that would like an 18-year-old to follow them around and learn from them, hit me up, because I'm definitely willing. I don't know. I'm just hungry for knowledge right now. I have that feeling. It's just like I just want to learn everything, Yeah.
I mean, this is such music to the ears of senior chefs to hear the hunger for knowledge that you have, Bubble. So, if anyone wants to be put in touch with Bubble, please just hit me up and we'll make that happen.
Yes, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
What do you love about what you do?
Lately, it's been hard. It's been hard transitioning from full-time school to full-time work, but something I found is a couple months ago, James Hardy, my old teacher, came into Rumi on a Saturday night, and it was a complete surprise. And before that I was kind of dreading it, because I hadn't worked. I had missed a couple Saturdays, so I hadn't worked a Saturday in a while, and I was feeling quite nervous. And James came in, and I was just elated to see him, because I'd been waiting for him to come in for so long to Rumi, and so I could, cook him food and show him what I've been learning because of him. So he came in, and it's just this overwhelming joy of being able to cook for someone that I, really treasure, and kind of being able to give back in that way, and show him that I'm so glad he put his faith in me, because it's been put to good use, and I've learned a lot. So I got to send him out a knefe and a baklava ice cream sandwich that I've been making, and kind of show off a little bit, which was really lovely. But I was talking to Joseph about it afterwards, and I was like talking about how it really reminded me that I do love cooking, because it's like you get to cook for people you love, and I love doing that. And then also realizing that really anyone that comes into Rumi, or anyone that I cook for, even if I don't know them or see them even personally, they, I treasure them, and I treasure being able to cook for them, and that's special as well. Yeah.
Well, I reckon anyone that's eating that kunefe or the baklava ice cream will be able to feel the love that you put into it. That is so beautiful. Bubble, just lastly, I have been pouring my way through Joseph Abboud's Rumi cookbook recently. I'm planning a bit of a dinner, and I'm going to cook from the book. What Rumi dishes do you reckon I should make for a crowd at home?
Oh, I'd have to say the lamb. Absolutely. I love that lamb. It's just fantastic. I think we talked about last time the cauliflower. That's a crowd pleaser. It's been on the menu from the start and probably will never come off because people love it so much. Cigars, they're fantastic. Even though you have to get a little bit of oil out to fry, I think definitely worth it, and very easy to do at home as well. Not technical. I mean, I taught them to year 9s and they picked it up. So, easy to do. And if you're thinking desserts-wise, definitely the chocolate pudding, the mulhabia with barberries. It's very easy too, but definitely a crowd pleaser. Definitely delicious, yeah.
Awesome. You have done my menu for me. I am very grateful.
Oh, and a fattoush. We have to have some salad, of course. Definitely a fattoush. I love it. Love fattoush. Fantastic.
Yeah, well, actually, I was looking at the different fattouches, and there's one for every season. I was looking at the winter fattoush with pumpkin and definitely have my eye on that. That sounds, very good, very warm and hearty for this cold time of year. Bubble, what an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. I'm just so filled with energy and joy listening to you speak about this stage of your career. Let's stay in touch. We need to see where the road takes you. And anyone out there who wants a very keen young pastry chef to learn from them, get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This